Hi everyone, welcome to Vedic Astrology Study Podcasts. Through this medium, I cover a breadth of some basic principles and analysis of the beautiful ancient science of Jyotish, gifted to humanity by wise ancient seers of India. Typically, there are playlists of different kinds with case studies to have a practical grounding of those principles. In this series, which will become a part of the Panchanga playlist, I am covering the science of Muhurta, or the timing of events, activities, dietary control, tuning your attitude to any given day of the month, since this is a lunar calendar. As per Vedic astrology, the human being should regulate their daily activities in alignment with the lunar cycle and the corresponding tithi of the day. You might say this is the beginning of the use of science of Jyotish consciously, with awareness and in full view of self and this space-time reality we find ourselves in. Since this deals with your everyday cycle of energies that each of us deals with on a daily basis, it's a good beginning point to start Jyotish with Panchanga study first, before you get to the charts part. If you do not know what your current tithi is, where you are on the planet, you can download the Jyotish app, which is indicated on the slide with its logo on Android or iPhone store. Download it, set its location to wherever you are on the planet. Then click on Muhurta and Panchanga part as is shown on the slide, and it will tell you the current Panchanga aspects, the Tithi, the Vara, the Karana, Yoga and Nakshatra, which is typically where moon is transiting over. Then use these series as a study material to guide your daily activities, diet, attitude for any given day. The way I shall cover each tithi here begins with the element and deity, followed by the energy of the day, what to do, what to avoid, suggested mindset, elementary, dietary consideration, and the content is covered both for Shukla Paksha and Krishna Paksha tithis. For the basics of this, see the previous tithi videos in this playlist. Let's get started. Now let us handle Ekadashi, the 11th day of the lunar cycle in a given month. So essentially, as shown in the pie chart over there, it's that 11th cycle, 11th day, okay? Waxing side or waning side, both are covered in this pie chart. Once again, this is a Nanda Tithi, or joy and auspiciousness, so it represents a new beginning. The other previous ones were Pratipada and Shashti. This is the third one, Ekadashi, which falls both on the waxing side and the waning side. So let's see the energies, generic energies that this particular tithi brings. Energetic quality of Ekadashi is Nanda Tithi, considered by many texts as the most auspicious tithi. It carries bright, purifying energy, and yet it is unique among tithis because its auspiciousness is largely channeled inwards towards spiritual development. It's ruled by the Rudras, very fierce energy. The 11th Tithi is ruled by Mars, being the third cycle in the week sequence, but since it's a Nanda group ruled by fire and Agni, the initiator, like Pratipada for example, or Shashti for example, this intensifies a fire quality. However, this fire is often meant to be turned into a spiritual practice. That is why Ekadashi is famously called the day of fasting and devotion. In the Vedic tradition, many Hindus will fast or eat only once a day on this particular day in the month. In the Vaishnava tradition, it particularly extols Ekadashi as a cleanser of sins or bad karmas and a day for Bhakti Yoga. That's a whole another topic, Bhakti Yoga. The presiding deity is Rudra, fierce form of Shiva, the active form of Shiva, the fire form of Shiva, like Lord Hanuman, which indicates Tithi's power to destroy negativities and burn away karmic impurities. Kubera, the god of wealth, was mythologically born on an Ekadashi. That's why the connotation of prosperity, wealth, money, bank accounts, you name it, signifying that great prosperity or material or spiritual can come from the discipline on this day. But it is often said that the true wealth of Ekadashi is the spiritual merit and self-control. Like Rudras, like Lord Shiva, as the Rudra meditated to become the Shiva, the mood of Ekadashi can be described as highly sattvic, dynamic yet controlled, and deeply spiritual. In mundane terms, people often refrain from indulgence on Ekadashi, channeling their spirit or energy into prayer, into the form of bhakti, maybe reciting Sahasranamas, mantras. I'm a big fan of that, you can tell by now. Which paradoxically makes it the most auspicious because it aligns one with divine grace more than anything of external value in the external world. Fasting and worship. The number one recommendation for Ekadashi is to observe a fast or upvasa as it is called and engage in spiritual practices. Reserve this day for such things, mantra chanting, doing puja, whatever it is that resonates with you. Just going quietly inward will do. Traditional Ekadashi fasting means abstaining from grains, beans at the minimum, and often a full fast from food. Just having water sometimes, for example. The thing about fasting you need to get is it gives you the space to disengage from the bodily needs and focus on the spiritual part. That's the underlying idea. That's what it serves. Devote the time to prayer, meditation, chanting, reading scriptures. It is said that fasting on Ekadashi, quote unquote, burns the sins, purifies the mind, enabling one to conquer anger and passion. Lord Krishna himself in Mahabharata extols Ekadashi Vrat as extremely meritorious. So the most recommended activity in this particular tithi on this day is inaction of eating and doing inner tapas along with fasting. Let's say visiting a temple, just sitting in the temple will also do, or doing bhajans and kirtans, devotional singing, or a specific puja, whatever your devta you like, whatever gods or goddesses you resonate with, your ishta devta, that will also do. Pilgrimage and spiritual travel. It is considered favorable to undertake pilgrimages or yatras on this day. Take a journey, leadership and initiative with caution. Interestingly, the classical sources mention Ekadashi, despite its spiritual leanings, is also good for leadership, conflict and defense related activities, debates and even weddings. Because there is Kubera factor, isn't it? This is likely because it is Nanda Tithi, Mars, ruled by a fiery energy. You can go outward and do things. But again, take this with a grain of salt. It is not really recommended you go outward on this day. Doing a lot of your favorite mantras, Japa is very good on this day, or your pujas. If you're not so much keen on fasting, stick to sattvic foods and you can do that. Artistic and educational pursuits, although not a primary focus, the clarity of mind many experience on Ekadashi due to lighter stomach and prayer can be good for studying or creative writing or composing. So basically doing a quiet inward journey, reflective analysis, for example, of whatever you're doing professionally, personally, particularly if the subject has spiritual or philosophical bent. It's a good day to begin memorizing verses, undertaking creative projects dedicated to spirit or higher ideals, higher mind, studying Jyotisha or Vedanta, for example. Vastu and housework. The texts don't highlight this, but personal experience from some is that Ekadashi is a good day to declutter and cleanse as well. See, you're using that Martian energy of the day. You can declutter as well. Activities to avoid would be worldly indulgences and heavy material transactions. Don't think in terms of too much of food, too much of wealth, materialistic plane. Should be avoided on Ekadashi. This means do not eat grains when it comes to diet, beans, meat, alcohol and so on. So sensual pleasure should be sort of kept at bay, just one day, okay? Don't grumble that it's not 30 days of the month. Avoid buying new luxurious items, doing big shopping. The mindset should be one of restraint. Businessmen in traditional communities sometimes even avoid monetary transactions on Ekadashi beyond what is essential. If you run a business, you don't necessarily shut it down, but you might avoid making too many large transactions or taking loans and such. No travel for fun or entertainment is usually done. Avoid that. It's a day for sitting quietly. Ekadashi has the strength of going quietly inward and helping you in your spiritual pursuits. If you're fasting, certainly avoid heavy manual labor or high intensity workouts like gym and so on. That might be unsafe because you're already fasting. Avoid making life-altering decisions purely in a normal mindset. This is a very fiery energy, not very grounded. So don't make any permanent long-term decisions regarding even your diet or anything on this day. You're in a different state due to fasting or due to the fire energy. Some say you see things more clearly, but others caution, do not decide until you break the fast. Like I said, do not decide anything on Nanda Tithis as a grounded approach. The Pratipada, the Shashti, now the Ekadashi. Let the energy pass. Give it a day or two, as they say. Okay? Suggested mindset. This is very important in Ekadashi. Devotional, self-controlled, inward focus, something which we have forgotten as a civilization. Treat Ekadashi as a sacred retreat for your soul. Even if you're going about your normal work, keep a corner of your mind for chanting the Lord's name, contemplating on different mantras, for example. Higher things, cultivate devotion or bhakti. This will come how? Only when you tune in and find out what the energy of the mantra or the deity is, isn't it? If you just let it be, it just be in its place. You have nothing to do with it. You have to tune in like a radio station. Replace hunger for food with your bhakti. It is very psychological in nature. Remind yourself you are not really fasting, you are feasting on divine love. For example, turning the point of view around. Maintain an aura of peace and forgiveness. Interestingly, because people fasting might be irritable because stomach is grumbling, consciously practice patience. That's the idea of fasting. Self-control, the mental mind chatter control. If someone provokes you, mentally say, peace, it is Ekadashi, and let it go, for example. Adopt a simple, grateful mindset. Again, something which we have forgotten. We get too many things that deliver to our doorstep these days, so people have forgotten the value of what it took to bring that, isn't it? Grateful. Be grateful for whatever you have. Detachment is a key lesson of Ekadashi. Be mindful and introspective. If you're fasting can bring up mental impressions or desires. Watch them, learn from them. Also, it will be a good idea to ask, what is it I'm really desiring from this? Because everything material, you're desiring something as a feeling, as an outcome, isn't it? That's why I give more importance to Tithi. It's the emotional body. You're looking to derive some sort of an emotional outcome or an emotional fruit, so to speak. Examine that. Be mindful and introspective. Integrity and a service attitude. An Ekadashi leader is ideally a servant leader, not ego-driven. Encourage others gently. They might be going through their own trials. Remember, everyone is going through their own inner challenges and battles. Have compassion for your fellow being, whoever they might be, family, friends, otherwise. Keep your focus on spiritual practice. Another aspect of faith. Faith is letting go. Faith is not necessarily believing in something. Your belief does nothing really. You need to recalibrate to what is there already. The mindset should remain positive and loving, kindness on this day. It's a day of mercy. It's a day of forgiving others. It's a day to elevate yourself, to burn out the seeds of karma. Karma is burnt in the fire of spirit, your own spirit, really speaking, provided you decide to engage with such kind of devotional activities. Be devoted to yourself. What is the real self? Who is the one listening to this? What do I really want from life? All these deep questions is good on this day. The diet from the Ayurvedic perspective. Ekadashi is primarily about fasting or dietary restraint. So avoid everything heavy like grains and beans, any heavy foods. There is a lot on fasting which I shall go through on my notes. Nirjala Ekadashi, complete fast with no food or water. This is usually done in Vedic tradition by many people. These are categories. Sunrise to next sunrise. This is very intense and recommended if you are only healthy and used to fasting. Don't try this like a stunt. Water only fast. You drink water, maybe with a little lemon, but no solid food. This is also more doable for many. Herbal teas can also count. Falahara, or having only fruits, like fruit juices, milk, yogurt, nuts. Okay, those kind of. One meal fast. Do some sattvic meal from sunrise to sunset. This is what usually people do who are going to work and other things. They have once a day. Hydration therefore becomes extremely important. You don't want to deprive your body of essential minerals, so you hydrate frequently. And take some cumin, coriander, fennel tea, that kind of a soothing, gentle energy for the stomach, since it's fasting. Managing hunger and energy. If you feel weak or dizzy, it's okay to take something like few raisins, a spoon of honey in water, or some fruit. Take some sugar. Have some sugar at hand if you're fasting. There's a lot covered in my notes about fasting because this is very dominantly popular in Vedic tradition to fast on this day. Breaking the fast. Very important to take some tulsi water or amla Indian gooseberry, as they help revive digestion gently. You might then have a normal breakfast, etc. Breaking the fast. From an Ayurvedic perspective, Ekadashi aligns with low pressure day in atmosphere. Just thus the body can handle fasting without food pushing on internal pressure. It's a natural detox day for all the detox fans. The 11th day in the lunar month. Herbs and supplements. If you have herbal powders or supplements, you might skip non-essential ones on Ekadashi since stomach is empty, if you're doing fast, that is. Cooking for others. I like this one. If you need to cook for family who aren't fasting, it's recommended you keep it simple. You might not want to engage with very aromatic, rich cooking, which is very dominant in Indian subcontinent. Very aromatic, very rich in spices. That's why we have to be extra cautious compared to other cultures who have a pretty much bland diet, isn't it? Only India in the whole world has got seriously spicy stuff. Anyway, if possible, arrange simpler meals for dependents who have someone else to cook for that day. The Ekadashi diet is about restraint, purity and lightness. Even if you're not doing fasting, okay, just to wrap this up, even if you're not doing fasting or anything, which I have gone on and on about from my notes, just maintain the mindset of tuning into your spirit, tuning into your internal requirement. Where is the greed coming from? What is it that I am feeling lack of? That will be a good, very good starting place for everyone. Doesn't matter if you're doing fasting or not. On this day, quiet reflection is a better approach. Now let's see the Krishna and the Shukla parts of this. Let's see the Shukla Ekadashi right now. Energies of Rudra, Lord Shiva, in a very fiery form, active form you might say. Therefore, the energy of the day is fiery, purifying and devotional. A strong energy for tapas, austerity, fasting and spiritual clarity. Sort of clarity of the mind even. Because we accumulate a lot of junk along the way in this life, isn't it? A day of burning off impurities and aligning with divine will is a good thing to do. Again, fasting of all kinds we have covered. The worship or tuning into Vishnu or Shiva, mantra japa and meditation is good. Night vigils, scriptural study if you are inclined in that direction. Charity, giving food to people, for example, sharing knowledge with people, like what I'm doing here. Introspection and refining discipline. What to avoid? Eating heavy stuff, grains, beans and tamasic foods. Laziness, indulgence or excessive material pursuits are best avoided on this day. Wasting energy on worldly distractions is not advised ever. Discipline, self-control and devotion is advised. Focus on clarity, simplicity and inward elimination. Treat the day as a reset for body and soul. Diet is traditional fast, fruits and milk. If food is taken, make it light, make it sattvic kind of approach. Avoid heavy stuff. Now let's look at Krishna Ekadashi.